Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Wednesday, April the 6th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with you, ready to break down the Wednesday NHL card. Following another nice betcast last night. Appreciate everybody joining us for that. We stayed on till the end of the Islanders and the Stars game, as we pretty much said we would. And I'll tell you what, the live bets were kind of up and down. Not my greatest night with the live wagering last night, but very good on the pregame betting card, that's for sure. A lot of the plays ended up panning out, especially a lot of those totals. Certainly a good night if you like first period and full game overs for the most part in the NHL last night. Definitely had a lot of goals left and right. How about the Buffalo Sabres? 4-2 win against Carolina as they continue to be an undervalued commodity down the stretch of this regular season. I always love it this time of year, Alex. You find those teams that are well out of the playoffs, but certainly not playing like a team that's well out of the playoffs, and you can find great value in their money line price game in and game out, and that's the Buffalo Sabres right now as they get a nice 4-2 win over Carolina last night. We saw Ottawa beat Montreal by a score of 6-3. The Rangers with a nice tidy 3-1 win. They really played well in their own end, helped out and supported Alexander Georgiev, and a bounce back for them after two straight losses and a bad loss to the Devils the last time they played them. They responded with a nice 3-1 win there. Columbus beats Philly 4-2. Colorado, two straight wins over Pittsburgh. A nice 6-4 win for them. Got outplayed at times during that game, but to be honest with you, they got the save. Jari, not so much for the Pittsburgh Penguins in that game. Nashville 6-2 over Minnesota. We talked about it. Minnesota was playing well, but definitely a rest advantage for them, and Minnesota 3rd and 4 nights, and definitely the situation favored Nashville, and they took advantage of it with a good 6-2 win. We saw Detroit, one of the upsets of the night. Boy, I was ready to rip up that ticket and throw it in the garbage when Boston was up 2-0 last night. But boy, Detroit came back and won 5-3. I said that's a dangerous game for Boston, having played in Columbus the night before. Showdown with Tampa Bay coming up in their next game, and they played right into it against Detroit last night, losing 5-3. They got a little angry and frustrated at the end. It got a little nasty at the end of that game as well, as the Bruins fall 5-3 to the Wings. Dallas gets past the Islanders 3-2. I think we can officially write off the Islanders at this point, as they just don't make up any ground on Washington last night, and they already have 11 points to make up. And Edmonton, I'll tell you what, would have been nice to know Leon Draisaitl wasn't playing like more than 15 minutes before puck drop, but nevertheless, he was a late scratch. But Edmonton gets past it. Not their best game. They kind of were sleepwalking for a lot of that game. That was definitely not their best performance during this great stretch, but they do get past San Jose with a 2-1 overtime win. Credit to Mike Smith with a hell of a pass to send Connor McDavid alone on that breakaway, and they end up getting the 2-1 win on the San Jose Sharks last night. A win's a win. Like I say, not the best game from Edmonton, but they found a way. That's all that mattered at the end of the night. Alex, obviously another good betcast last night, and thoughts from you on the Tuesday slate.
Yeah, it was an interesting betcast. I had a lot of technical issues with going on during the betcast, unfortunately, but you got all that stuff out of the way. And the bets weren't really that great, but the games themselves were certainly entertaining. They said a lot of scoring, and we keep waiting for the shoe to drop of, teams tightening up defensively. And we kind of talked about it, how, we just might not see that the rest of the way in the regular season because of how condensed the schedule is. And like I said, these scheduling spots in Minnesota and Nashville, a perfect example. Nashville have been off since Friday, and catching a wild team as well as they've been playing, but third game in 4 nights, the fatigue just kind of hit them a little harder. And also Nashville just simply has found a way to play this wild team and beat them. There's something about that matchup where the Nashville has the edge and other teams don't. So if other teams in that Western Conference might want to take note and see how Nashville beats the Wild, because like I said, I think the Wild is still the team to beat in that conference as we approach the playoffs, and they have a big game on deck tomorrow with St. Louis. And you mentioned the Edmonton game with Mike Smith in net. He didn't have the best numbers, historically against San Jose. With no Leon Draisaitl, we kind of, wondered, maybe this might be a spot for the Sharks to take over. And like I said, Mike Smith with a great pass to Connor McDavid in overtime. Their 5th straight win, and now they leapfrog the Kings to take that important second spot in the division. They're only 4 points back of Calgary for the top spot in the Pacific. So that is a live race, and I've been saying it all year. The Pacific's going to be down to the wire. It's now gotten interesting with Edmonton coming back now on a 5-game win streak. It wasn't the cleanest win, but it is a win. It's 2 points, and that's the imperative thing with a lot of these teams now. It's about getting points, whether you get in regulation or overtime. You got to come out of these games with at least 1 point, and they were able to get 2 on a great play in overtime.
Yeah, and beat teams you feel you should get 2 points against, like Edmonton last night against San Jose. And all that mattered in the end was they found a way to win. And, of course, I left out the Leaf-Florida game, which was the craziest game of the night. 5-1 lead for Toronto, and Florida comes back, wins 7-6 in overtime. Look, if you're Toronto, you're pissed off. You didn't find a way to win that game as you should be. You should still find a way to close that game out. But Florida's done this to multiple teams this year. That offense is just so quick strike and explosive and depth laden with 4 lines that they just roll out in waves, and all of them can find the back of the net. They're never, ever out of a game, and they proved it again last night with that comeback against Toronto. Andrew McInnis joining us as well as just his crazy run in the NHL continues. Andrew, what's going on? How are things, and how was last night?
What's up, guys? Yeah, doing well. Happy to have a nice bounce back best bet there on the show with Ice Guys here with the Colorado over. I mean, that game versus Pittsburgh after we saw it 3-2 just a couple days ago. But I'll tell you what, guys, I mean, a couple different sequences yesterday that we saw between a couple different games, and just like that wild one, I had a wrong read on that one, and the spot screamed the Predators, but I ignored the spot on the show, so I kind of wrong about that one. But my favorite play alongside with that Colorado one was the Rangers, and it just seemed to be a great spot for them. And I mentioned how much more important it was to me that they were off 2 losses and more motivated. And a lot of times I've said this a lot of times to you guys, but I think there's certain teams that you miss one player and it might not be a big deal, and certain teams you miss one player and it might be. Well, how about both? I know it sounds weird comparing these 2 teams, guys, but how about the Oilers and the Devils yesterday? No Jack Hughes, no Leon. All of a sudden, those teams just look a little bit different in how they operate, who carries the puck in, who's shooting 3 or 4 shots every game. Makes a real big difference, So, and just my quick thoughts on that Toronto and Florida game. I'm not going to come in here and crap all over the Leafs. What I am going to say is that win is not good for either team, because number one, if you were to change the rules of hockey and tell me the objective of hockey in the playoffs is to be first team to win, score 6 goals, I'd put as much money as I can and sell my card tomorrow on the Florida Panthers to win the cup. But the fact of the matter is that's not how you win hockey games, especially in the playoffs. You don't need to score 7 goals to win a game in the playoffs. And for me, for the Panthers to have been proving that they have to do that lately in order to win hockey games, that's not very good. And it was obviously a bad spot for the Leafs. They blow that lead, but at least they held that lead for a long time. So I think people kind of overreacted on Twitter yesterday about, wow, another great comeback from Florida. And I was one of those people. But are you really going to be impressed if they do that come playoff time? I mean, you're gonna if it's the first round of their playoff series and they're down 4-1, are you going to sit back and say, they've done it before? I won't be, because they can't do that every single game, and they have kind of built a habit of doing
in the
that.
Playoffs as well. That something you have to factor in. Yeah,
it was funny though, that Oilers game, because like all of my plays that I've officially bet were over. Getting messages from people. What do you think about the Sharks and Oilers game? And you guys know how that goes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to look at betting something live. And then what happened, right? Mike Smith, the guy we love to make fun of, gets the assist on the game winner.
Yeah.
Mike Smith with the play.
Yeah, and he's a great puck handler too. I think people forget about that. Before the trapezoid, this is a guy who actually, was probably one of the last guys that really would like to play the puck. Actually, he has a gold credited to his career as well. So, I mean, it was an incredible play and a good, awareness from him. And, you're not going to see a lot of goalies try to attempt that pass, even if they are skilled enough to do that. But like I said, it was the perfect timing for him.
We always said he could handle the puck well. We got a lot of issues with Mike Smith, and usually handling the puck is not one of them. He's always been very good in that regard, and obviously put his talent on display with terms of handling the puck, pushing that pass right to the middle of the ice, bringing McDavid on that breakaway for that overtime goal last night against San Jose. So very impressive stuff there for the Oilers to finish that game off and get the 2-1 win against the Sharks. All right, we got just a handful of games tonight, 5 on this Wednesday NHL card. So we'll get to it with usually it's a pretty good matchup. Usually I'm into this game. I'm not really as into this game tonight, but we'll talk about it here. Tampa Bay and Washington. We've got Tampa Bay minus 145 road favorites, 6.5 the total. This really is the who gives a shit bowl as far as I'm concerned tonight, this game. Tampa Bay is playing like a team that I don't even think they really care. Second, third. They've just been through the playoff wars now so many years, multiple Stanley Cup championships in a row the last couple. I don't even think they're all that concerned with where they finish. They certainly aren't playing like it. They really have looked. There's been a lethargicness about their game. I got to say it with Tampa Bay. They have not looked crisp. They've not looked sharp. They've not looked dialed in for multiple games. That's 2 losses in a row for them against Montreal and Toronto. And you could even say in the games they played against, Detroit, where they won in overtime. The Chicago game, they won 5-2. I thought they still made some gaffes in that game, and they let, the rush chances from the opponent. That's the thing I'm noticing with Tampa. They're giving up way too many rush chances. All right. And maybe this is just we're disinterested a little bit right now. We're in the final 3 weeks of the regular season. We want the playoffs to get here. But they're giving up way too many rush chances, way too many for a team like the Lightning. We're not used to seeing them giving up these 2-on-1s and letting opposing forwards get behind the defense repeatedly. It happens just a ton of times against the Leafs the other night in that 6-2 loss. So I don't like where their details are right now. The details of their game are messed up at the moment. And that's maybe a concern for this team in terms of, are we getting their best foot forward here the rest of the season? And or a team that really, truly is invested in, we really got to get second here in the Atlantic Division. We really got to get third, or whatever the case may be. They don't look like they're overly concerned. It's like, let's get these games over with and let's get the playoffs started. It's kind of the mentality I see from Tampa Bay. So I can't say I'm rushing to lay a price on the road with the Lightning right now. But on the flip side, after what I saw from Washington on Sunday night against the Minnesota Wild, I basically said I took Washington because I thought they're rested. Minnesota's played a lot of hockey. They're definitely going to look to play well after getting smacked by Carolina at home. That 6-1 game was the game before that one, and they were just every bit as bad against Minnesota as they were against Carolina. And I said, you know what? Unless I get a distinct quote from Ovechkin or Laviolette or one of the other players that they are really, truly into this game and dialed in, I won't be making another Washington bet the rest of the season on them. I won't be. And that's the way I feel here about them. I'm not trusting this team again now. They are out. They're not making the playoffs. Or they are, I should say, they're locked into their playoff spot, I should say, but they're not going to get caught from behind by the New York Islanders. They're locked into their spot. I get a real sense of disillusionment and disinterest right now from the Washington Capitals. I'm seeing forwards just go right through the 2 defensemen time and time again. Poor Vanacek gets hung out to dry in a lot of these games here the last couple. Has he been good? No, but they've really hung him out to dry with some shoddy defending in front of him the last few games. Just that team does not look like they're dialed in right now, the Washington Capitals. And to me, that's a clear sign after what I saw against Minnesota that this is a stay-off team for the rest of the regular season for me. I'm not looking to back this team. They're locked into their spot. There's no urgency whatsoever for these last 3 weeks of the regular season. They're locked into their positioning pretty much, that second wild card spot. So this really becomes a game where who wants it more? Does anybody want it? And that you'd think Tampa Bay would want it because you would think second in the Atlantic matters and home ice advantage in that first round series matters. But they've just been through the playoffs so much and they have no problem winning on the road. Maybe they don't even care that much. That's what I get that vibe from the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, to me, this would be nothing on the side. Maybe you can get there with an over if both teams aren't going to treat this with the utmost intensity, which usually shows up at the defensive end. So probably we'll have a small bet here over 6.5. But I think from a side perspective, it's a difficult read right now with both of these teams. Alex, what do you think? Lightning, Capitals?
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it on the head. It's hard to kind of, side with Tampa Bay or side with Washington. That's why I like the draw here. I got it plus 345. These two teams can, they play close historically against one another. 2 of the last 3 meetings have gone to overtime. Like you said, if Tampa Bay, they have more of an emphasis to try to earn points than Washington right now. Like so Washington, at this point, they can't really get caught from behind. Tampa has a little more incentive if they want to get home ice. Like you said, it doesn't seem like that's the case right now. The way they've played of late has been really up and down. So I could easily see this being a 3-3 game going into OT. And then obviously, it's just a matter of, who has the better opportunity in the 3-on-3 or shootout. So $3.45. I think that's a decent price. I've cashed a few of these with Tampa down the stretch and with Washington throughout the year. So I like to draw here plus 345.
That might be the best options. Just take a shot with the draw and think both teams are just, neither one's good enough or motivated enough to gain separation. So maybe look toward a draw here tonight. Andrew, how about you? Lightning, Caps.
Yeah, I mean, I locked this out and at 6, but I still would lean towards the over here in this one. If I'm playing the side, I'll tell you what, I wanted Tampa, but I still don't love the minus 145 for kind of all the reasons you listed, Ian, about the disinterest, so to speak. But all that said, I know it's only 2 losses apiece in a row, but I think both teams enter this one a little pissed off. And whether you want to believe they still don't care, I think that after the loss against Toronto, that was a marginal loss. That wasn't just a close loss. They lost by 4 goals. The one before that was a shootout loss to the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, they don't appreciate that one either. Oh, yeah. And remind you, both those games were at home. So they're on the road now against Washington. Washington, they've gotten their asses kicked in the last 2 games, giving up 6 and giving up 5, both marginal victories, or for the opposition. I think the over is in play here. I think that Washington will get some at home. They've only scored 2 goals in their last 2 games. They got to be fired up to put pucks on net tonight. Tampa hasn't looked the best defensively either, which is very uncharacteristic of them. Vasilevsky's actually been letting in some squeakers. I lean towards Tampa because I think they're even more reliable than Washington. That's not really saying much right now, but I think the over is the play. Like I said, I locked in 6. I still think 6.5 is the play here. But hey, what Alex said about the 3-3 draw, brother, I'll take that all day. We'll both win.
That's right. A little draw at 3-3. That would make everybody happy. That's for sure. All right, Detroit, Winnipeg. We've got Winnipeg minus 270, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Red Wings, obviously a huge upset win last night against the Boston Bruins, 5-3. However, before we give them too much praise, we do have to acknowledge just how masterful Nedeljkovic was and what a big part he played in that game, almost 50 saves. Boston was peppering the net, but just couldn't find a way to put enough pucks behind Alex Nedeljkovic last night in that 5-3 Detroit win. That's now 5 straight overs for the Detroit Red Wings, and I'm riding that over train until it stops at the station at this point. So I do think we'll see goals tonight here with Detroit, especially a back-to-back situation for them. It's not a very good defense, even though they won last night. They still gave up 3 goals, and they gave up almost 50 shots. They're probably going to have a tough time trying to slow down a Winnipeg Jets team that is much closer to full strength tonight. And great news for Winnipeg, Kyle Connor returning to the lineup tonight. He's been in COVID protocol the last couple games, but getting him back, they've hit 3 games without him. And look, this is a guy that's posting career highs in goals and assists, 41 goals, 41 assists for Kyle Connor this year. So getting him back is absolutely enormous here for the Winnipeg Jets. And look, they're probably not making the playoffs. I think the Kings loss on Saturday night probably put them behind the 8 ball in terms of making the postseason. But, they've still got to keep on battling right till the end. Still 12 games left, and they're still, 7 points back of the Dallas Stars, who have the second wild card spot right now in the Western Conference. So they're not mathematically out yet. So I expect the Jets to bring a good effort tonight. They've certainly got the schedule in their favor tonight with Detroit on the back-to-back. Winnipeg has been off since that Saturday night home loss to the LA Kings 3-2. I think it's one of those nights where we see Winnipeg's offense pop off here against likely starter Thomas Greiss for the Detroit Red Wings after Nedeljkovic was in last night. And I'll tell you what, if you look at recent numbers for Thomas Greiss, it's been pretty rough. For him as the backup netminder for the Red Wings. He's really, really struggled. How about 0-5? How about 5.72 goals against average and 840 save percentage over his last 8 outings? That's pretty bad. That's pretty horrendous right there. 5.42 goals against 5.72. Geez, I gave him too much credit. 5.72 goals against average and 840 save percentage in his last 8 outings in net. So I'm actually going to have 3 bets here. I'm actually on a rare puck line as well with Winnipeg. I think this is Winnipeg by margin here. It's going to be sometimes tough to trust Winnipeg, yes, but rested team, catching Detroit on the back-to-back after the upset win against Boston last night. I'm going to go ahead with the Jets -1.5, -105 on the puck line for the full game. I also like the Jets team total over 3.5 at -145, and I also like the full game over 6.5 here in this game at -110. So there you go. 3 bets for me on this Wings-Jets matchup. Alex, Detroit, Winnipeg.
Yeah, I kind of teased this on the betcast last night. I said this would probably be one of the draws that I like, and it is at +425. I could see this being kind of a slower paced game because of the issues Detroit has had defensively. Like I said, Delkovic was stellar, and his play along with the Bruins is kind of folding under themselves is the reason they were able to come back and get that win. Winnipeg doesn't deserve the late 270 to anybody right now, to be honest. Like I said, they're a team that still mathematically has a chance to make it, but the back-to-back losses, you think you'd see a better effort from them. They kind of know the writing's on the wall. Their season's just about finished. This definitely feels like it could be a back and forth pace game, which would lend itself to the over, even at 6.5, which I don't think I'd bet over 6.5 all year. But if there was one I would look at, it would be this. I could see this being kind of almost what we saw with Toronto, Florida, just kind of back and forth, high scoring, and somehow it ends up still being tied after 60 minutes. And I was mentioning in the chat, someone was asking about what is the regulation draw. So that's a 3-way bet. So you can bet 3 ways, either side Detroit or Winnipeg to win within 60 minutes, or bet the draw. And I want to emphasize this. I've done it several times this year. You want to look for that as opposed to the yes/no overtime prop, because you will see a wide discrepancy in price. A yes/no overtime prop, you'll see overtime be plus, let's say for this game, 325, where you're seeing plus 400, plus 420 for the regulation draw. So books, use that wording to try to catch people off guard. So you want to look for the regulation draw as opposed to yes, no, or overtime when playing these props.
Yeah, good piece of advice there for that. I also am going to have some props for the Jets. Like, it's going to be Connor for sure. He's one of those guys. He doesn't need to need any time to really get his footing again. He's had so many instances where he's been out in the game. He comes back, he lights the lamp. He's very capable of doing that. It's not like he needs time to warm up and get back into the flow of things. So I think Connor will find the back of the net. Ehlers has 8 goals in the last 11 games for the Winnipeg Jets. So certainly can't go wrong with looking toward Nikolai Ehlers right now for the Winnipeg Jets. And he's been definitely soaring offensively the last several games. Andrew, any thoughts here? Red Wings, Jets?
It sounds so simple, Ian, but I like the over in this one again. I like the efforts we're getting from Detroit, but it's just their defense is horrible, and I think that Winnipeg is going to be motivated tonight. Winnipeg's going to give a good effort at home. But guys, I don't like the -270. I don't like the regulation line. The puck line isn't even that intriguing. So the way I looked at it was I can expect Detroit to get a few, but it wouldn't shock me to see like a 5-4 win, honestly, from Winnipeg. It really wouldn't shock me. And if they don't put up those big goals, then that +1.5, I actually think is in the cards for Detroit, but I'm staying off. I think that realistically, it is a good spot for Winnipeg, no doubt about it. You read off the stats for the goaltenders here. I just don't like the 270 for Winnipeg, and it kind of just turned me off right away when I saw all the other options and how I'd bet them. So I think, like Alex talks about, this is a real good game to wait. Try and get a 5.5 and then slam it, because I think we're going to be able to see goals, maybe not early on in the game.
Yeah, definitely. Live over is in play if it somehow gets off to a slow start here. Definitely could end up being the case. And like I say, for the Jets, it's just very good, big rest advantage for them, which really matters at this time of year too. We're talking now the last couple weeks of the regular season here, where when you have a team with the major rest advantage against the team that's flying in on a back-to-back, that really shows up more this time of year. Even last night, Toronto, Florida, took a while, but the Leafs eventually, you could see them wearing down the longer that game went on the back-to-back against a rested Florida team. So rest versus back-to-back, definitely those are situations you got to keep an eye on here at this time of year. All right, next up, we've got Seattle and St. Louis. We've got the Blues -120, -220 home favorites here, 6 the total in this game. The Blues back home here playing good hockey. St. Louis, we got to give them credit. They are on a nice little streak here, 4-1 the last 5 games. The only loss was in overtime against Edmonton, where they were rallied from a big early hole to tie that game. and then they ended up falling short in overtime, but bounced back, won in Calgary, took care of business and thumped Arizona 5-1 the other night in that game. So Blues playing pretty well, and Blues offensively playing very well at the moment as well. So I'm really going to keep this simple and go Blues team total over 3.5 -125. I think that's probably the bet right now. They've scored 5 against Zona, 6 against Calgary, 5 against Edmonton, 4 against Vancouver, 4 against Vancouver there. I mean, we've seen this team now 5 straight games, at least 4 goals put in the net by the St. Louis Blues. And I think they can do that here at home against the Seattle Kraken. And Chris Drieger, who has been confirmed in net tonight for the Seattle Kraken. Drieger's been better lately. I will give him that. The last 3 starts, his numbers are damn good. 1.35 goals against, 958 save percentage. We'll see if he can carry that over here. You know, he gave up just 2 against Vegas, just the 1 allowed to LA. And then, of course, just 1 goal allowed to Dallas in that home win against the Stars on Sunday night. So maybe it's not a slam dunk for the Blues to get 4 goals here. But, man, I just like the way they're rolling offensively. 5-on-5 offense has been there for St. Louis. The power play continues to be very good. They just got Jordan Kyrou back Monday after missing 3 games due to an illness. Right now, Robert Thomas is on a 6-game point streak, 3 goals, 3 assists. Buchnevich has 5 goals and 4 assists in the last 6 games. David Perron is a goal and 5 assists, 6 points in the last 5 games. So there you go. I just gave you a bunch of St. Louis players that if you're interested in player props tonight, Buchnevich, Robert Thomas, Kyrou, and of course, David Perron, definitely good options as far as that is concerned. So even with Drieger's better form, Seattle has been scrappy. Seattle has been competitive lately. But I think St. Louis can still get to 4 tonight. So Blues team total would be the way I'd approach this game. Looks like we've lost Alex. Andrew, what do you think here? Seattle, St. Louis.
I didn't have the best luck the last time I did this with St. Louis, actually. This was in their game against Arizona, Ian. I had the first period puck line, and I believe it lost, and then they had like 4 goals in the second period or something like that.
But I said,
no, I'm not doing that again.
with it. Oh, you're going to try it again. All right,
first period. First period puck line with the St. Louis Blues. I think they've been a good team with their starts, but not good enough apparently. But I think the Seattle Kraken have had just an absolute mixed bag of a schedule recently with some tough games mixed in there. Now traveling to St. Louis, a team that's I'd say laser focused right now. So I think it's a pretty good wager. Trying to find the updated number here for that. I mean, it's a plus price. I know that. Let me just pull this up here. First period. Yeah, so you can either take that money there. Here we go. The first period puck line. Yeah, it's like plus 120, something like that. So I mean, these prices are pretty good when you can get that stuff. And you know, you look at a hot start from a team like that. And for Seattle, the way that they've played against teams with records above 500 have not been good. They give up far too many goals against good teams. And I don't think St. Louis will take them lightly out the gate.
I was frustrated by that too on Monday night because that's the one bet I made on St. Louis in that game was first period, and everything else would have won. Team total, full game puck line, you name it. It all would have cashed.
You hate to see it.
Now tonight, watch it. They'll get like 3 goals in the first period, a 3-0 lead. They'll win 3-1 or something. All shorter. So sometimes that's the way it works. But I'm going to stick to my guns here with the team total. Alex back with us now. What do you think? Kraken Blues.
Yeah, I'm right there with you with that team total. I don't want to rely on Seattle having to chip in goals, even though it's at a 6. I feel like this game should go over 6 as a full total. But I just feel more comfortable backing St. Louis. Their offense is rolling. We know how Seattle can be stagnant offensively at times. And with Ville Husso in net, like I said, he's certainly emerged as the number 1 guy for the Blues. So like I said, just take Seattle out of the equation. Just hope they can give up 4. So I go Blues team total over 3.5.
We got Vegas and Vancouver. Vegas hosting Vancouver next up. Vegas Golden Knights -170 home favorites, 5.5 the total. This is officially, I think they're done anyway. Bruce Boudreau and the Vancouver Canucks, but this is the last stand. Lose tonight, and it is finished in terms of any playoff hopes for them because they're 8 points in the rears of the Golden Knights already. And now if you lose back-to-back head-to-head matchups against Vegas, your goose is cooked. as far as I'm concerned. So this is it for Vancouver. They've got to win this one, but I don't think they're going to win it. I think Vegas is now back home where they've played pretty good hockey. They just continue to get healthier, start to play good again. 5 straight wins coming into tonight. They beat Nashville 6-1 at home. They have that miraculous comeback against Chicago 5-4, that crazy Saturday afternoon game, my first weekend in San Antonio. I couldn't believe how crazy that game turned out to be. They went on the road, swept Seattle, and, of course, beat Vancouver in overtime in Van City over the weekend. But I'll tell you what, even when Vegas was at their lowest point, a few weeks ago, with all the injuries, all the depletion, all the shorthanded roster that they had, the one constant was they were still finding ways to win at home at T-Mobile Arena. They were still finding ways to put wins on the board and get 2 points on home ice, like when they beat LA 5-1 and they beat Florida. Remember, that was the game Andrew was there in attendance, that Vegas-Florida game, 5-3 Golden Knights, and they were still ravaged big time due to injury at that point, and still beat a very good Florida team on home ice. So, yeah, Vancouver may need the win. They're not better than Vegas right now, and Vegas is starting to get healthier going into this game. You look at it, they've already seen, obviously, McNabb and Martinez get back on the ice recently. Zach Whitecloud has come back for them. Robin Leonard's come back. Really now they're just waiting upon Will Carrier, Nick Hague on the blue line, Brett Howden, a depth forward, and, of course, the big three up front, Pacioretty, Stone, and Smith. Still waiting on their returns. But what I like is they found ways to win now as they start to get a little bit healthier, putting some good hockey together, going on a run. I kind of thought that the Donov moment where he has the trade voided and he somehow scores that game winner against Chicago could be a rallying cry for Vegas. They get on a roll. It's like a karma thing. It's just, wow, here's Dodonov getting that overtime winner after the trade got nixed. And all of a sudden, now watch Vegas go on a little bit of a hot streak. And that's exactly what's happened. They haven't lost since that Chicago game where they came back to beat the Blackhawks. They got a good thing going right now, and I don't want to step in front of that. So don't know if I'll bet the game because it is the last kick at the can, if you will, for Vancouver. But I would only look Vegas and probably in regulation if I were to take the Golden Knights here. Alex, what do you think here? Canucks, Golden Knights.
Yeah, I feel like some of the members of the Canucks, while they're in Vegas, might be planning some vacations, making some vacation plans while they're there. Might as well, kill 2 birds with 1 stone in that aspect. I like Vegas here in regulation, minus $1.20. Like I said, they're on a hot run right now, 1-5 in a row, and this is basically they can literally launch themselves off of Vancouver and try to move themselves into that wild card race once again, which is going to be tight all the way through. Dallas, Nashville, Vegas, and now even LA, with the way they've kind of dropped off a couple of games. Those 4 teams in the rotation are going to be fighting it out. So this is a huge 2 points for Vegas at home to keep this run going. I like them to take care of business tonight.
Like in Vegas in regulation. And that's the funny thing about this streak for Vegas. It's not like it's put them leaps and bounds in a better spot in the playoff race. This 5-game win streak. They're entering tonight on the outside looking in, believe it or not. Nashville's got 84, first wild card. Dallas, 83 with the second wild card. And then there's Vegas with 82 points. They're actually still on the outside looking in, even after winning 5 in a row. So there can't be any let up here for the Vegas Golden Knights. They've still got to keep piling up wins here in this game and moving forward, as they are just, unfortunately, Dallas and Nashville keep winning as well. And they are the teams, of course, just ahead of Vegas at the moment. Andrew, what do you think here, Vancouver and Vegas?
We always say it's funny when, you're the last person to speak after everything you guys said there. I have a shot on Vancouver, guys. I just based on how successful Vegas has been recently, I feel like, one loss isn't going to ruin their playoff hopes. And I think if there's going to be a loss in the next little while for them, it might be this one. And these teams are going to play 3 times in, I think, the 4 or 5 game span. They're going to play again, I think, next week. So like you're talking about these 2 teams, how many times they play each other. And let's not kid ourselves here, guys. I mean, I was at that Florida game, very impressive. Every single team that Vegas has beaten on that small win streak they've had so far, besides Nashville, guess what they are? Not playoff teams.
Yep.
Vancouver has been playing some very competitive games. Most of the losses they've had recently are by only 1 goal. And they're playing against playoff teams. So look, I'm not saying it's a lock or a big play or whatever, but I think that this is mispriced. I think Vancouver, the number has gone down plus 150. If you can get that, definitely I endorse that. But I've seen 135 now at some shops. I think Vancouver's a good spot play here today, and I think that they aren't going to make the playoffs for me, unfortunately, but they aren't going to give up, and this could be a good spot for them.
Yeah, yeah. I do agree with you there. You'll get Vancouver's biggest punch. It's a question of, is it going to be enough tonight against the Vegas Golden Knights? But you will get, all out, balls to the wall, season on the line type desperate. Or at least you should. From the Vancouver Canucks tonight. And another concern they've got is the injury situation. Obviously, Brock Besser out, Quinn Hughes a game time decision on the blue line for the Canucks tonight due to an illness. So at this point, we're not sure if they're going to have one of their best forwards out for sure, and Besser and Hughes, one of their, if not their best defensemen, might be out as well for the Canucks. So don't like to see that in a game you absolutely have to have, and a game you absolutely need the 2 points. So definitely we'll see if Vancouver can overcome what could be some critical absences tonight for this game against the Vegas Golden Knights. All right, the final game of this Wednesday card, Calgary Flames, Anaheim Ducks. Calgary minus 260, road favorite, 6 the total in this game. I don't think I'll bet the game pregame. It's like I don't have a strong take on it right now. Calgary certainly bounced back to beat LA 3-2 after 3 straight losses, and it was a short, rapid revenge situation as well, losing to LA at home at the Saddle Dome last week. Figured you get a good effort from the Flames on Monday night. You did. As they took care of business with a 3-2 win against the LA Kings. They'll look to build on that here against Anaheim, who just continued to really not beat anybody other than the Arizona Coyotes. That's the way it's been here for Anaheim. 1-9 in their last 10 games. They get thumped by Edmonton 6-1 on Sunday night. It's just a team that has struggled mightily. Hasn't helped that they've had a lot of key cogs out, the Anaheim Ducks, but at the same point in time, when you're talking Troy Terry possibly not playing, although his eye injury, he was back for practice. So maybe a sign he could be back in the lineup here for the Anaheim Ducks tonight. And, of course, Ryan Getzlaf, lower body injury, announced, of course, yesterday that he will be retiring at the end of this season. Great career, really was. Talk about everything that he did for Anaheim, not only scoring goals in the offensive side, but leadership, being a captain, winning big faceoffs, being a physical presence, dropping the gloves, which he's done a lot in his career. I mean, Ryan Getzlaf, just a good old-fashioned meat and potatoes, could do a little bit of everything for you, hockey player. And don't sleep on what he did, obviously, the Cup year with Anaheim a long time ago, but don't sleep on the fact that, what he did internationally, representing Canada as well. Multiple world championships, world junior championships, Olympics, go on down the list. So great career for Ryan Getzlaf. And circle the date where they have that final home game for Ryan Getzlaf.
Yep.
You got to think Anaheim's bringing something that night in honor of their captain who will be retiring at the end of this season. But as for tonight, we do know the long-term issues Calgary's had in Anaheim. This has always been one of those places that's been a house of horrors for them. Still, the long-term record is 4-32 for Calgary in the last 36 trips to Anaheim. They play tomorrow. They should win this game. I still can't trust Anaheim with how poorly they're playing. Their only win in their last 10 games is against Arizona. So it's very, very difficult for me to take Anaheim, even getting the price they're getting here. But at the same time, am I rushing to lay the price with Calgary and a place that sometimes gives them some trouble? Not really. So going to be a pass for me with the Flames and the Ducks. Alex, what do you think here, Calgary, Anaheim?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth about circling April 24th. That's Anaheim playing St. Louis. That would be the final home game for the Ducks, and that would most certainly be depending on price. And if St. Louis has already clinched the playoff spot, more likely to be looking at Anaheim backing them for that final home game. But yeah, with this game tonight, if anything, it's a lean toward the draw. I didn't officially add it, and I probably won't because Calgary should take care of business and get 2 points here. If anything, maybe even look at a Calgary team total over. Only laying $1.20 there with 3.5. Anaheim, you can't back them at any point. Like I said, until that game, there's no way to back this Ducks team right now, especially playing higher up competition. Yes, Calgary, that 4-32 record, I mean, you got to take that with a bit of a grain of salt. There's a lot of bad Calgary teams throughout that run. That was when Anaheim was playing some of their better hockey. There was a couple playoff series involved there as well. So this hasn't been, even with Calgary playing better hockey. The last meeting that they played against Anaheim in Anaheim, game went in overtime, and they ended up losing it. So this probably looks like a game that could go to OT, but I already have a couple of draw plays in mind, so I'm going to pass this.
Yeah. So, there's a question whether Getzlaf will play tonight. If he's got a lower body injury, we'll see if he's in. They're more hopeful that Terry will play. And of course, his eye, if you saw the picture of it, is from the Jay Beagle incident that everybody was talking about from that Anaheim, Arizona game. And it was ugly to see, just as like a friggin' just a pickled beet. That's what it looked like around the eye area. It was definitely not really good. So good. It would be good to see if Troy Terry ends up getting back on the ice so quickly after what happened and what went down between the Yotes and Ducks.
For the record, he threw the first punch.
Yes.
So
Terry did, but at the same time, Beagle doesn't have to keep on wailing.
No, I agree.
Horrible on his part to keep going like that.
To be honest, though, I don't like what Trevor Zegras said to the media. I think he actually embarrassed himself with what he said to the media. That kind of stuff you keep in house. Maybe you say a couple words, but he looked like he's only a couple years younger than me. But he looked like a kid that's going to look back at that tape and regret stuff he said, because he looked like a kid that was whining to the media. And it's like, dude, you don't play college anymore. You don't play in the U.S. development team anymore. You're in the big show. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that happens.
There's a physical price that's paid in the NHL.
And guess whose fault it is, dude, that happened? Your fault, because you were picking at the goalie, trying to score another goal, and your teammate stuck up for you and got his ass kicked. So probably why he felt so bad, because it's his fault that his teammate got his butt kicked and his face punched in.
Everybody made mistakes on that whole incident. Everybody. Jay Beagle made a mistake, kept punching him when he's clearly not a fighter and he's clearly not fighting back. You don't need to be digging at the puck there if you're Zegras in a 5-0 game like that. I know you're in control of the game, but what are you trying to get, a 6th goal? You've already got the game won. It's 5-0, and you're poking at a loose puck with the goalie, and Arizona didn't like that. And then to make it matters worse, the Arizona color guy, Tyson Nash, is talking nonsense, saying about that's what you get for skilling it up, and you want to, what? Someone's got talent and is going to score nice goals, and now they got to, get their brains beat in because of that. I mean,
well, 30 years ago, when players, scored nice goals like that, and then somebody tried to hit him, there was actually somebody there who could defend, their teammates, and because we don't have that anymore.
And guess who they traded away, Alex?
Josh Manson. Josh Manson and Delorier, two of the best fighters they had in the lineup. So things like that are going to happen. The most egregious thing that for me, other than Beagle, like I said, still throwing punches after Terry was down, was that you see everybody else standing around scrumming. They're still all holding their sticks. They still all have their gloves on. And then you wonder why somebody has a serious eye injury. We just saw it about a month ago in the AHL as a player for
policing
Rockford.
Of these matters is terrible in today's NHL.
In Rockford in the AHL, this is about a month ago. I can't think of the guy's name. He's one of the guys. He's not exactly in the Hawks system. He's just a minor league player, but he got cut badly under his eye, and they're still fighting with these visors on because they don't want the guys taking their helmets off. You're going to have more issues like this, and hopefully we don't see any super serious injuries, but you're going to have more facial issues when you have guys still swinging their sticks around in scrums, still trying to throw punches with gloves and keeping their visors on. There's a reason you take all those things off when you fight. So you can't have it both ways. Either go on and fight, take your gear off and be safe, or, keep your mitts on, keep them cemented to your hands and move along. One or the other.
I agree. The visors being kept on by players when they engage in a fight is, to me, I don't like it.
It's awful. Yeah.
I'm bothered by that because it's easy for someone to break their hand, trying to swing and hit one of those visors. You can break your hand, or at least break a bone in the hand doing that very easily. So to me, that was a very, very simple fix. Take the damn visor off. Both guys, take the helmets off, take the buckets off, take the lids off, and just go at it after that.
The refs are already going to stop the fight as soon as it hits the ice. You're not going to see guys pop up and keep swinging anymore. So that takes care of the head injury issue. Yeah. Basically, but you're going to have all these facial injuries and hand injuries continue the more you see guys swinging around with their equipment.
Yeah, definitely. Andrew, did you have anything Calgary Anaheim?
No, I didn't actually. I looked at this game. I leaned towards the under actually in this one. I feel like we're going to see a lower scoring game, good defensive one from Calgary. Look at what Calgary's done recently here, guys. They still haven't played a rock solid defensive game, and I had them against LA, and in that game, they took stupid penalties. They allowed lots of chances. Markstrom actually had to make a couple big saves. So Anaheim's not really lighting it up either. So kind of where I'd go is this would be kind of my favorite under on the night.
Yep. Yeah, I could see that because I think, and look, LA stayed or Calgary stayed under the total with LA on Monday night, 3-2, and they're talking on the road trip about getting their penalty kill to be better. Great quote from Gaudreau saying, "We have a big road trip here. We didn't play too well toward the end of our homestand," and I agree with him there. To get on the road here, it feels like it's been a while since we've been on a road trip. It's kind of nice. You have a road trip mentality. Started with a big win here in LA and have another big one coming up against Anaheim. So you get that sense this is going to be a road trip. Maybe Calgary puts some things together as a nice road trip. Again, they got everybody on the road, team bonding stuff, kind of Gaudreau alluding to that. So maybe Calgary ends up having a nice road trip. Started off well against LA. We'll see if they can keep it going tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. Great stuff with Andrew McInnis, Alex B. Smith on this Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys. 163 live viewers. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And before we get to best bets, of course, we want to talk about DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL, and with us here at the Ice Guys and the Hockey Podcast Network. A reminder, new customers can bet just $1 on any NHL team, get $150 in free bets if they win. It's that simple. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Hockey Contest. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN and bet just $1 on any NHL team. Get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right, good stuff there. We're going to have a couple of show announcements here. DJ Mitchell's going to join us Friday. Just sent a DM, said, I want to be a guest. And I said, all right, come on. And Friday suggested he's around. So going to have DJ Mitchell back on the show Friday with us on the Friday edition. Going to have our old friend Brett McLean back on the show in a couple weeks, Thursday, April 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So Brett, who was with me a few Thursdays ago. I know Alex wanted to be on the show. That was the day that our apartment people were driving him nuts with all the noise and all the work that was being done. So hopefully we get Andrew, Jimmy, and Alex able to join Brett for the first time as well, a couple weeks when he rejoins the show on Thursday, April 21st. We got more guests lined up too as we get close to the Stanley Cup playoffs in May and beyond. So a lot of guesting going up in terms of that, the guesting content here on the Ice Guys moving forward. Looking forward to that for sure. All right, best bets to wrap up the Wednesday edition of the Ice Guys. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, let's go with the early TNT game tonight. We will go with Tampa Bay and Washington draw plus 345. Like I said, these are two teams that have played close for a while, and like I said, they're not really worried about their playoff positioning. They've got everything settled. They're going to be in the postseason. It's a matter of who they play in the first round. Washington can't be caught from behind. Tampa Bay, it's more imperative for them to get points if they want to get home ice, but that doesn't seem to be an issue. So it feels like it could be a 3-3 game, and I expect it to go past 60 minutes. So we'll go with the draw with the Bolts and the Caps as my best bet tonight.
All right, there we go. Tampa Bay, Washington draw for Alex B. Smith with his best bet. Andrew, what do you like for best bet?
Best bet material. I'm going to be bold today, guys. Vancouver on the money line. Give me the Canucks underdog play here today after playing the Golden Knights just a couple days ago. Golden Knights three-game road trip for them, but it's the first game back at home. And like I mentioned, I'm impressed by them. They still haven't really beaten that many impressive teams. So I think they could be due for kind of a letdown spot. In Vancouver, as Ian stated, this is the make or break game, and I feel like we do get a full effort out of them.
Yeah, it absolutely is for Vancouver. This is win or you're officially toast as far as the Stanley Cup playoffs are concerned. So Andrew, going with the dog, Vancouver Canucks plus 150 against the Vegas Golden Knights for best bet. My best bet is going to be, I'm going to go Detroit Winnipeg over 6.5. I like the Jets team total, and I like the Jets puck line as well, but I just still feel Detroit could still find their way to a couple goals because they are capable of doing that. I think the Jets will get it 4 minimum, probably 5 if you ask me, and then you'll get Detroit chipping some in as well. So we'll go with the Red Wings and Jets over 6.5 for my best bet here on this Wednesday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Andrew McInnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Wednesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow on Thursday for another edition. Massive card as always on a Thursday. Join us for that. Another massive card for our Thursday edition of the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.